Hello and welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. My name is Sage and I am the middle sibling.
I'm Shay, the oldest sibling.
All right,
yeah.
y'all.
It's like, crap, did you forget that he's
Okay.
telling the story today?
So my cat fucked up my screen on
Oh,
my
no.
laptop, and so I have a big strip taken out of my laptop, and so
No.
the countdown wasn't there, and so I couldn't see,
You're
and so I
like,
was looking for the recording time, and I was like, wait, hold on. Yeah. Anyways, we figured it out.
That's amazing.
Don't leave things on your laptop like keyboard if your cat's having like a zoomy time, because he decided that WWE was the theme of the night, and he like jumped on the back of my laptop and squished whatever was on the keyboard, and so there's like a hole in the screen and there's a full strip taken out of it. It's fine. I can still read everything.
No.
It's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything
Everyone
is
calm
fine.
down.
I
It's
love
fine.
him so much. I love him so much.
Gosh.
He's been driving me insane. I've been videotaping everything because I started a TikTok, and I've been videotaping everything, and he wants, I don't know if he like wants to be in them, but he like is very vocal every time I start recording. It's like he knows, and he just starts meowing.
He's
and I'm like, dude.
Me.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I'm ready.
I'm so glad you're doing this. I have so many stories to tell. It's
so
kind
much
of
to say.
It's kind of what's happening. But yeah.
Do you guys ever get that cat, Gus?
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Him so much.
Yes.
Funny.
He is so funny. It's so good. TikTok has become my obsession, like my hyperfixation for the past like month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making a video today, and yesterday I picked out the sound and I was looking for it. So you know the movie Empire Records and how it's my favorite movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking through the sounds of it, and I got this tattoo like maybe a month ago. It says 1237 because you have to tell Corey that you love her before 1237. So I was watching the clips. It's not 1237.
Oh no. What is it?
37.
Shut up. My God.
So I am a fake fan and have the wrong time tattooed on my hand.
Well, just Google that number and see what pops up and see if it aligns with anything. Okay?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Before I don't know. So I feel so stupid because before we tattooed this, I Googled it and I was like, okay, I have to make sure that there's no like negative connotations with this number. Like no one's going to like call me out or something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And nothing, it means nothing to nobody, anything. So I have random ass numbers on my hand that mean literally nothing, but it's a funny story. So that's where I'm going to go with.
Well, in all honesty, I don't think that anybody probably knows that. So
nobody's going to know that.
Don't tell anybody, right?
That's true. Yeah.
It's just like, you know, that
just
people
pretend like it actually happened.
Like I do this all the time where I'll like point out an insecurity that nobody else would notice. Or I'll be like, hey guys, oh sorry, I didn't brush that hair down, and everybody would have been like, yeah, cool, I had no idea.
And they're like,
was like that.
What?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's stuff that you're like, my messy hair.
Yeah, it's stuff you're focusing on, but no one ever pays attention.
No one ever cares. Yeah, they're more worried about themselves.
Ridiculous.
You just reminded me. I was about the cats. I was reading this book. It just came out yesterday. I wasn't reading it. I was listening to it. But well, because it's a brand new book that just came out, and when she announced the narrator, it's the male narrator is like my favorite narrator, and I was like, well, I have to listen to it now. I can't read it because he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's this is like the second book, okay, and the first book they have cats.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second book, he's the cousin of one of them, so he was like over at their house, and he was like, cat people, they're so weird. And then anyway, and it just made me giggle because I'm a cat person, and then like he would like make comments because like all this weird shit would happen like with the cats or whatever, and so you know he kept making comments about it, and I'm like, listen, cats are the best, okay? So
yes,
I don't know what to tell you.
Speaking of audiobooks, I get into anyways, every time I say that I read a book, my mentor is like, no, you didn't. You listened to it.
Same thing.
Anyway,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I was on TikTok the other day and it was audio books versus physical books. And have you ever seen Key and Peele, where he is like the substitute teacher and he says all the names wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay,
Aaron.
Jacqueline.
Yeah.
And she goes, you mean
Yeah.
Jacqueline?
You mean
And it's
Jacqueline?
that sound, but it's the people that are listening to the audiobooks know the like real name.
Huh?
And then
Yeah.
the people who have the
Yes.
physical books are saying it wrong. It is perfect. It was
Yes.
so good.
Because listen, I had no idea the what's those books called? Court of Thorn and Roses or whatever.
Yes. That was
Mhm.
TikTok.
Oh God, yes,
God.
that one's amazing. But I didn't know his name was Resand. I thought it was like Ryzen. So I'm just
Mhm.
reading like Ryzen, and someone was talking about Resand. I'm like, who the fuck is that character?
Yeah,
And I was like,
exactly.
oh, that's his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
At least
that
I know
one
how to
that
know.
I said. Oh
Yeah,
my
you
God, that
did.
TikTok where she's like,
I went to the countryside of blah, blah, blah.
I know which one you're talking about. I do that, which is also why I can't read physical books. My ADHD is too bad and I can't focus on it and my brain goes off, and then I also can't like to pronounce the names of
Yeah.
places and names and stuff, so it just
Especially
never
No.
works out.
fantasy books, because they always pick the most
Yes.
ridiculous names. I'm like,
Yes.
listen, y'all.
Yeah. It's like the people that write fantasy books, they're like have never had kids or anything, and they're like, finally, I get to use these weird ass names that I know
Yeah.
that no one will ever use.
I love when there's fantasy books that have ridiculous names, but then they're like, but you can call me Ron. And I'm like, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Because if I have to read Ron,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose it.
I mean, I give them nicknames in my head in general. Like, if I can't read that name, I will pick out letters. I will give them like initials or something.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have a full name anymore at that
Yeah.
point.
because I'm literally reading it, but I'm reading it out loud in my head too when
Yeah.
I'm reading it. I need to know how to
Okay,
fucking
so
say it.
is the voice that you're reading with, is it your voice or is it somebody else's?
It's my voice.
Okay.
Okay, I have another
I
question
had
for you.
What does that mean? Does that mean I'm what
No,
am
it
I?
doesn't mean anything.
don't have-
Someone asked me about that the other day, and I was like, I never really thought about it, but it's
It's my voice.
it is my voice.
Yeah.
But they said that
Yeah.
they hear it's like a narrator, basically, that they have. It's like a British accent or
I was
something,
like, can
and
you
I'm like,
change it like your Siri?
yeah, exactly.
Like your
Like
Tom
Siri,
Tom.
do you get?
You're like, really like a female with an Australian accent.
Speaking of Siri, so I never use my Siri because people say it in the shop all the time, and it goes off, and like people's phone go out all the time. And so
Yeah.
I just turn it off. And the other day, for some reason, I used like Apple Maps, like instead of Google Maps. And it was talking to me, and I was like, who the fuck is this? Because his
Different
voice,
now.
I picked his voice when I first set up the phone, and it's like some dude, but it's just like a regular dude voice. And I was like, who? I thought I was
were like,
waiting for
"Excuse me,
Siri
sir."
to say
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Excuse me, sir. And they were like,
how long
pay
have you been
attention at the
following me?
Exactly. They were like, yeah, because it said like, pay attention at this next light. There might be an accident. And I was like, hold on. And it's just because it's just like a normal voice,
like-
and it was freaked me out.
You were like,
Oh my
you
God.
like sat there and you were like, it's happening. It's happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
It's happening. This is it.
Because I was
Oh
expecting
my
like
God.
at the light,
Siri.
turn left.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
expect whenever I hear my directions. Not, hey, watch out up here. Excuse me.
You're like, shut the fuck up. You started like giving your car an exorcism.
It scared me for a second.
Oh my
Gosh.
God. That's funny.
One last story about that voice, but we went to Austin with my best friend, and she uses Waze, and I wasn't really paying attention at first, and we were on our way, and all of a sudden it goes, turn left, and I would go,
What?
excuse me, what the fuck just happened? And she goes, she was like, you didn't recognize that before? And I was like, who is that? And she was like, that's the it's the boy band setting on Waze. And I was like, no, you need to turn that off now. And so, yeah. And the whole time we were in Austin, it was like, turn left, turn right. And I was like dancing to it and shit. And then now to this day, anytime anyone says turn left, or like if we're talking about anything, I'm like, turn right. It's part of my brain now. It is so bad.
Oh my gosh.
It surprised me so much. And I don't know why, because I'm expecting like a robot voice, but it was just a normal dude like singing. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Where are we?
Oh my gosh. Also, you just reminded me too, because you were saying things that you repeat. So you know how I say what's in the box all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a whole story because Richard has no clue. Whatever.
Yeah.
In this book,
7.
I screamed because I was literally at work listening to it, and their dad, so they're part of the mob, okay, and their dad had given them this really heavy box to bury, and they didn't know what was in it. And then, so he's like talking to his brother, they're like making bets on what they think is in the box, and he's like digging, because his brother was like, I texted her, blah, 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 and his brother's just, and then all of a sudden he's like, what's in the box? And I was like, Dad! I'm like, you said it, because I was thinking in my brain, I was like, this is the best day ever.
I've been getting,
I got way too excited about it.
That's
Thank
amazing.
God I love this writer.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's the best.
I've been getting there's a couple on TikTok, and they're both on the spectrum, and they both have vocal stems, and so they copy one another's, but they're like, this is our month's vocal stems, and they'll say them and then play the clip from like the movie or the show or whatever. It's amazing. I'm obsessed with it, because I do the same thing, and I would love for somebody to put a compilation together of like the actual clips of what I'm saying, because sometimes I don't remember what it's from, and I don't know like where it came from.
I've done that too.
Yeah, so there are some times where I'll figure it out, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, we are best friends now. I'm obsessed with you.
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Well, the reason I gathered you all here tonight was to tell you a little list of stories, if you will.
I came here to tell you a list.
I've gathered you here tonight. So I didn't want this to be like a political thing or anything, but there's a lot of shit going on right now. All over the place. I'm not going to really say anything, but these stories sometimes have a lot to do with race. And so I thought it was kind of fitting.
Yeah.
It's also one of my biggest fears of all time. It's an unreasonable fear, because I don't do anything that would normally like get me arrested normally. But that one time. But one of my biggest fears of all time is being falsely accused or falsely imprisoned or arrested.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
and it's
about that way more than I should. Okay.
A lot. A lot. And so I actually sometimes I look up these stories because for some reason it makes me feel better to know that other people have gone through it. I really don't
love that other people have gotten accused of something they didn't do in case it might happen to me.
It's really weird. Really. Anyways, so that's why I've gathered you here tonight, so that we can see how crazy I really am.
That's okay.
But this is 10 stories of people who were falsely accused of crimes or wrongly convicted. Okay. So the first one this one does have to do with race, which is another reason why I was bringing it up. So this one is in 1984, and it's the case of Daryl Hunt. He's an African-American man from Salem, Winston, North Carolina. And at the age of 18, Hunt was convicted of rape and murder of a white woman named Deborah Sykes. Despite the facts of no physical evidence they still tried him for the crimes. There was no evidence anywhere. And they were like, no, I'm pretty sure it was still, it was still you. So this was 84. So there wasn't really like the like DNA testing that was very needed. So in 1994, he was cleared of the rape from DNA testing that proved that he wasn't there. He didn't do it. But despite that being overturned, he still was in prison for 9 extra years.
What? Why?
Huh?
Because they had him there. So
No.
they didn't let him out until a man named Willard Brown confessed to the acts.
Stop.
Yeah. So they released him from prison, and he was working with the Innocence Project, and he founded the Daryl Hunt Project for Freedom and Justice, which is another part of the Innocence Project, which is insane.
Wow.
So
When stuff like that happens, can't they like sue?
Mhm.
yes.
And also,
And get, like,
do
you
you not
know.
have a lawyer to help him? Once
Yeah.
they said he was innocent and they just didn't?
So that I was also thinking the same thing. The simple fact is that it was the early 80s, and he was an African American teenager.
Yep, that makes sense.
That's
it
the
doesn't make
simple fact
sense,
of it.
but it's sad,
No.
but it does make sense pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's really shitty. Really shitty. Okay, so there is this next one. So part of my fear is of movies. So planting evidence and like you just think it's like this grandiose thing that would never really happen, but it does happen, and it has happened in the past. There's a man named Arthur Allen Thomas, and he was convicted because someone planted evidence against him. Okay, so in 1971, the evidence helped lead to a conviction of 2 murders that he didn't commit. A man and a woman named Jeanette and Harvey Crew had been murdered in their home in New Zealand. And it had been discovered that one of the police officers took a cartridge from Thomas's rifle and planted it in the garden of the next door neighbor.
What?
So Thomas was convicted of both crimes, and he even lost an appeal. So he was convicted twice for these murders that he didn't do.
Oh my God.
There was finally a royal commission which uncovered the suspicious acts of the police through the investigation, which Thomas says includes using things that he told them against him. So he's trying to get out of this and help them with what they need, and they're using what he's saying against him to get him deeper into it. Crazy. But basically,
that's the other thing. They can make you admit to something you did not do because they know how to.
Yeah. So basically he got out, which is good, but there was no real justice because the 2 men that had actually started all of this and planted the evidence were dead by the time that he got out of jail.
Of course.
So it didn't really do a whole lot. Okay, so unlike everybody else on the list, Richard Jewell was never actually committed of any crime, but he's here because in 1996 he became one of the most infamous men on the planet. There was a bomb that exploded at the Olympic Games in Atlanta, and Jewell was a security guard there, and the FBI was there because they kind of knew that something was going to happen, but they didn't really know what was going to happen. So he was a security guard there. So at the time, Jewell was a 34-year-old security guard, and he had spotted a suspicious package in the Olympic Village and reported it to the authorities. Shortly afterward, it exploded, and it killed 1 person, and it injured about 100 different people. So because he was the only one that saw it and was the only one that said anything about it, they were like, "You did it, bro.
It was you."
What?
Yeah.
It was you.
But why would he have reported it?
Exactly.
So basically, it's the Olympics. So it's already all over the news. Everybody's talking about it, and his face was plastered everywhere. And so the people in the public were like, he did this. Like, this is really fucked up. Whenever they think about that bombing, they see his face, which is really messed up. But he was like villainized for everything. And in October, he was found guilty because, or no, he wasn't found guilty, but the public had found him guilty already. So he was wrongfully accused and convicted, and there were several times during the case that were brought up that it was botched police work, and that even during questioning from the FBI, they said that they were creating a training video and they needed his help with it, but they were really just questioning.
Oh my gosh.
So he was never actually convicted because all of this shit, like, it actually like went down. But you know what I mean? It's crazy. And these people are like, okay, we have already said that it's this person, or people already think that it's this person, so we need to make it this person.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if he could have like filed a defamation case on like all the news.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's a government entity. It's not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen.
True.
Yeah.
It's really shitty.
Very true.
So this next one, I know that I've heard about this one before. I feel like everyone's kind of heard about it. So you guys have kids. You guys have teenage kids. You know that they can be a handful, and a lot of times they say things that they do not mean, but they just don't. They just have to say things. You know what I mean? So this guy, he was a single parent of a teenage girl, and his name is Thomas Kennedy. And you would never suspect that anything would happen or that he would be involved in anything like this. But he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And the reason he was sentenced was because his daughter accused him of sexually assaulting her. So he goes to jail. He's in jail. He's in there for about 9 years. And after about 9 years, his daughter comes forward and says that she was lying.
What?
Nothing happened. She was lying about the whole thing, and she was upset that he wasn't spending more time with her. So she went and told on him. And she made up really fucked up excuses. She was 11 years old.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Her dad was in jail for 9 years.
I'm like, well, he's definitely
I
not
can only
spending time with you
imagine.
then.
Yes, that's exactly what the court said. They were like, you realize that's kind of counterintuitive, dude.
Yeah.
A little crazy. Anyways, sorry, these are hard to read the way they're written out. I'm not that illiterate, I promise.
But also,
Most of
could
the
you
time.
imagine how hard that would be as a parent, to be like a dad that
Mhm.
like you love your daughter so much, but then you're like, the fuck, I was in prison for 9 years for fucking nothing,
Right. And going to prison for something like that, like, your stay in prison is not going to be what the regular stay in prison would be.
No, they go after pedophiles.
Exactly. It's completely different.
Watching this video of this TikTok, this girl, and she's like a security person for a prison. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, but she was saying that she had gotten put on I guess they have their own, at this prison apparently, they have their own area for protection because most people will hurt them or kill them because of what they did.
Yeah.
She was like, they're the nicest people you'll ever meet. She was like, they have learned to trick you. She was like, no other person in that prison tells me, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you so much. She was like, they're the nicest. And she's like, you think they're just the sweetest people. And I'm like, I hate that. Absolutely so much.
Yeah. It's true though, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason they're nice like that, and it's not real.
Right. I literally hate everybody, right? Okay.
Exactly.
I'm glad we got that out.
Okay. So this next one was also pretty wild to me. I guess they're all pretty wild, but this one was a little different. So when you're convicted of murder at the age of 17 and sentenced to life in prison, it's got to be pretty rough to handle, just in general.
Yeah.
That's especially when you didn't do anything, when you're innocent.
Mm.
And there was even like there was a little bit of like racism kind of put into this one as well, which is also just fucked up at that time, or at any time, I guess. So that's exactly what happened in 1971 to a guy named Donald Marshall Jr. And part of a tribe in Canada. And he was accused of murdering his friend, Sandy Seal. So Marshall was released from prison 11 years later after another witness came forward saying that someone else had stabbed her. Now Marshall he wasn't exactly a model citizen, but it turned out that he and his friend had gotten to a confrontation with a man that night, and that was the man that ended up stabbing her.
Wow.
So like being a stupid kid is no reason to like spend almost a decade in prison. That's
No.
crazy. But it was brought down that because he was there at that time and because he was part of that tribe and he was outside of where he was supposed to be, he was the one who did it, period. And that was it. They didn't even really like look into it or anybody else, which is super shitty.
Super shitty.
Yeah. Okay.
And those are like really important years too.
Exactly.
Very much so.
And he's gonna get out and be like, "The fuck am I supposed to do now?" You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What do you do after that?
I don't know. Especially when it's not your fault. And because it's like, I'm just, I mean, because that's where my head went. I'm thinking of like a job application or like a resume. And I'm like you're supposed to put for 10 years. I was in prison, even though I wasn't supposed to be. Like, what?
Right.
Right.
Also, that it fucks up everything. Everything. It's so crazy to me. And scary and terrifying all the time. Okay. So in 1977, Dewey Bozella was an 18-year-old kid from a rough neighborhood, and he found himself as a prime suspect in a murder of a 92-year-old woman. Despite the fact that there was not a shred of evidence, they decided that they were still going to try him for the murder. And there were two key witnesses, were known criminals that kept changing their stories. But he was still sentenced to 20 years in Sing Sing, which Sing Sing is in New York, which is like it's big. It's notorious. It's not great.
No.
So Bozella was retried in 90 and offered the chance to go free if only he would admit to the guilt and if only he would admit that he was guilty and that he was remorseful for the murder.
What?
He didn't do it.
Okay.
He didn't do it.
No.
Like, I'm not remorseful of shit because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So some people would have jumped at the chance for freedom. Like, I don't care at this point. Just like, let me go.
Yeah.
He refused. And he was like, no, I didn't do it. And so they reconvicted him.
Oh my God.
Put him in jail again.
Wow.
So the Innocence Project caught wind of this case and tracked down some evidence, and they were able to set him free in 2009. Crazy.
I mean, thank goodness, but damn, that's a long time.
Long ass time.
Like, how proud do you have to be to, like, this is my freedom, and if I don't say this, then that's it.
But the fact they would make you say that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what the
gross.
Hell? Yeah. What is that?
I don't get the justice system sometimes. I really just don't
either.
understand.
I don't either. It drives me crazy. Okay. So this one also sounds like a movie, which was very interesting to me. So in June of 1982, 49 gold bars were stolen from the Perth Mint in Western Australia.
Literally sounds like
it is
like
right
just from that alone.
So the estimated worth of the gold was $2 million in today's money.
God.
Wow.
So for some reason, the police quickly suspected three brothers, Ray, Peter, and Brian Mickelberg.
Stop.
They decided that these three brothers were the ones that did it, and they were quickly found guilty and sentenced to a long period of time in prison. It doesn't say exactly how long, but obviously from because I'm telling you right now, they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Perth Mint swindle, as it's commonly known, remains unsolved to this day. But the Mickelbergs weren't cleared of all charges until 2004. The brothers have repeatedly stated that the police framed them from the start. Brian was released after less than 2 years and died in a plane crash soon after, while Ray and Peter served 8 and 6 years, respectively. In 2002, a police officer who had been working the case admitted that they had fabricated evidence and also that they had beat Brian while he was in custody. 8 years. 8 years.
Wow.
Like, did he just feel guilty enough that he was like, sorry, dude?
Must have been something. Yeah.
Maybe
just
he
don't
was
get
like,
that.
that's when he retired. And so he
Maybe.
Yeah.
now I can say it. What the hell?
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't understand being able to keep something like that for that long.
And also, like, who do you pick for this? You know, like, how do you go, I really want, like, we need to solve this, and I think, like, do you pick a name out of the hat? Like, oh, it was these brothers that did it. Like, what is happening?
Exactly.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's like a personal vendetta because most of these sound like they're in like that was Australia, but Perth. So, so it's a pretty big town, but it feels like they're like personal vendettas. Most of them.
For sure.
Well, that's why I immediately thought, I wonder if they were trying to get them on something else and they didn't have enough evidence. So they were like, okay, well, we'll get them on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, you never know.
Yeah. Okay, so 1894, apparently there was one of the most famous miscarriages of justice in all of history. Have you ever heard of the Dreyfus Affair?
No.
I hadn't either. Pretty
Not
interesting.
very infamous.
So, Alfred Dreyfus was a French soldier who was convicted of treason, and his punishment he was sent to this island. It's called Devil's Island, and it's a penal colony. So it's an island of prisoners, and that's it.
Okay.
So then this case in particular was one steeped in anti-Semitism. Dreyfus was a captain in the army and was accused of giving information to the Germans. But 2 years later, it was discovered that another French soldier named Ferdinand, had in fact been the real traitor. Yeah, Ferdinand.
I'm gonna start saying that.
So, but Dreyfus was Jewish and he was already in prison. Some of the higher ups in the military managed to keep the new evidence quiet until 1899. So that's 5 years. Yeah. Okay. So he was brought back to France for a new trial, and it wasn't until 1906 when he was finally exonerated from the crime and they let him go. But everybody apparently has heard about this because of the police and the higher up in the military. Like, no, we have to cover this up. Also, we're super racist, so this guy's going to stay in here anyways because we already got him.
Right.
What the hell? I hate it.
Right? And this is a thing that happens often, apparently. Sorry, I completely lost my spot. Okay, so there is a story of a doctor who is accused of killing his wife, and he proclaims his innocence, telling the police that there was a man in his house, and the man is the one that murdered his wife. So this sounds like a movie because it is a movie, but it was also based off of a true story. So this is the movie The Fugitive, but it's based off of like an actual story. So this is really what happened to Dr. Sam Shepard, the man who served as the inspiration for Richard Kimball. Shepard was convicted in 1954 despite evidence backing up his story that he didn't do it, that there was actually someone in the house. According to reports, the investigating police completely overlooked some of the obvious signs of sexual assault, primarily because they believed that Shepard was the killer.
I'm just gonna ignore that. That's not
Of
important.
course. Yeah.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So blood was also found in the house that didn't match Shepard or his wife or any of their children.
What?
Mm.
It was the ghost. It was still him.
Yeah.
Ew,
The
I hate
fuck?
Ghost. But
What?
yeah, it's
Can't.
so
Okay.
finally
Mm-mm.
1966 he was set free. But the case had taken an enormous toll on his life and he died 4 years later of liver disease. So it
Man.
wasn't this fucked him up so bad. My God.
I mean, I bet. God, that's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this one also sounds like a mob movie, and I'm completely here for it. So Jerry Colin is this guy's name, and he is one of the most famous wrongfully convicted men in the entire world. So at the time, this was in England in 1974. So at the time, Colin was 20 years old, and he was arrested in connection with a bombing of a pub in a town called Guildford, which had killed 5 people. He was arrested despite the fact that he had never even been to this town.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Stop. That's too much.
You remember how I said personal vendetta? This one is
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He and 3 other people who would collectively become known as the Guildford Four endured days of torture at the hands of the police before they finally ended up confessing to the crimes that they did not commit.
Yeah.
So, alongside with Colin, his father Giuseppe, and 6 others who became known as the Maguire Seven were arrested and imprisoned when shoddy evidence pointed to them seemingly having handled the explosives. So they had never been in the town, but because someone said that maybe they had handled it or there were something,
Stop.
they were the ones that had done it.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ultimately, the Guildford Four and the Maguire Seven were exonerated once new evidence came to light that the police had actually fabricated everything and coerced the confessions. This one is also a movie, and it's called Name of the Father. So this shit happens, and we see this shit on movies, and we're like, oh, it's just a movie. Not always.
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always. Really fucks with me. But yeah, this is one of my biggest fears, and I think about this a lot, like more than I probably should. So everybody else has to start thinking about it too. Now that it's like collective, it's a collective.
Yes. Now we're
And
all
I
thinking
know,
it. Hive mind.
yeah, I know that I shouldn't like be worried about this because I'm a white male, but at the same time, it still is something that really freaks me out.
Listen,
Yeah.
they ain't here to play.
Yeah. But yeah, that is some really crazy shit that happens a lot. There's a documentary on Netflix. I can never remember the name of it, but it's a full documentary of different stories of people wrongfully accused. And it has interviews with like why they were accused and like what happened and when they think things changed. And it's terrifying.
That's so crazy.
Crazy.
Have you ever watched the show How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That show's pretty crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
I watch all of these shows and then I don't remember like the names of them because I watch them all together, and so I don't ever.
Yeah.
I think I'm like maybe I've watched that.
Yes, yeah. I did the same thing. I'm literally reading like 3 different books at the moment, and so I'm like,
oh my God, my brain could not handle that.
Wait a minute, what happened?
No,
to
I
this
do
one
the
again?
same thing.
No,
I do the same thing, and I have to remember which one I'm like because I have one that I listen to while I'm cooking, and I have one that I listen to while I'm driving, and it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
And the other day I told you guys this, I was cooking and I put on the wrong book and it's about cannibalism. It was like his liver was
Yes.
so delicious. And I was like, maybe we don't.
No.
So you have to, you really have to feel the vibe.
Also, okay, sorry I keep bringing this up, but this book that I'm listening to, okay, I don't know why all this stuff keeps happening that's reminding me about it. I guess just because I listened to it. One of the guys, his dad was a serial killer, and so he can't stand the smell of like cooking meat and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same.
so one of them,
my dad wasn't a serial killer though, I don't think.
No, he was.
tasers another one, and he starts puking because of the smell of the flesh burning from
Oh my God.
being tasered.
And what book is
And
this
this is-
again? And what
it's a-
page is that specifically?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a dark romance, but it's funny. Like she makes them
Mhm.
purposely to be funny. And
Mhm.
so he's like this big, huge, tall, like super buff dude, you know, like covered in tattoos and stuff. And he's like super smart and
Mhm.
everything, but he's like a golden retriever and he's like a big old baby
Mhm.
and like can't cook and doesn't like this and that and
Yeah.
whatever else. But anyway,
I love that.
that part made me giggle.
That's awesome.
That's funny. Gross, but funny.
Did you
I think it's
guys
pretty
Good job.
see that? Because I don't know why I thought of this. Phineas and Ferb is back. They remade a whole season of Phineas and Ferb.
I thought I was going crazy because I saw
No.
a video earlier and it was two people dressed up as Phineas and Ferb and I was like, what
Yes,
is happening?
They totally
Mm-hmm.
the same day the new Lil Wayne album came out, the new Phineas and Ferb thing came out.
That is the most millennial thing I have ever
I
heard
literally
in my
was like,
entire life.
well, Stinky was making fun of me because I was like, this is gonna be the best Friday ever. And he was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It wasn't. That Lil Wayne album
Speaking
was very
of-
disappointing. But the Phineas and
It
Ferb show
was.
was really funny. I actually giggled a few times.
I need to watch it. Yeah, it was really, his album was not good. And I'm really
No, it was
upset.
horrible. Yeah.
Because-
I was very upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in high school that was my shit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I started getting millennial cringe TikToks, and it was like you need to start doing your daily affirmations, and it was like the Bring It On, the thing at the beginning, the cheer that they do at the beginning. Oh my God, it was so good. I was at the studio the other day, and this younger person came in and was getting tattooed, and I was doing Mean Girl quotes, which is like not out of the norm for me. Like I do
Right.
it a lot, and I was doing them and I was like, yeah, I keep getting these millennial cringe TikToks and apparently Mean Girl quotes are cringe. And I look over at the client and she goes, and I was like, thank you, fucking thank you. And so I put my hat down and I sat down. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I didn't realize that I was cringe until I realized I was cringe.
Listen.
Ah,
Stinky
And I
tells me all
really
the
don't
time.
care anymore. I really don't care.
yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah.
it's just like a thing that they're like, because Stinky will say all the time, he's like, millennials are the most cringe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Mm.
Why? And I was like,
Yeah.
at least we don't say skibbity toilet or whatever
Right.
bullshit. Alpha.
Literally,
Yeah.
like
Whatever the hell
Alpha,
are you even
Sigma.
saying? Yeah.
What the fuck does that
bullshit.
mean?
So
Why are you
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
werewolves?
That's literally what pops in my head every time I hear it.
I felt really stupid because last time I saw Trip, he looked like he walked off of the Euphoria set. And I was like,
Huh.
this is what you
Who's
look
that?
like. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, cool. I feel super fucking old. And this is a show about teenagers. Like, I'm too old to watch this show. I don't understand
Oh my
why
God.
he doesn't understand.
There's this movie on Netflix called Mid-90s or Mid-90 or something. And I
I
had
keep
no
scrolling
idea.
past it.
I had no idea what it was. And then I had walked in and you know that like filter that looks like it's on every
Mhm.
90s movie that almost makes it like orange,
Yeah.
you know? So I walked in and I was like, what are you watching? And he was like, it's called Mid-90s or whatever. And he's like, it is so good. And I was like, okay. And then he comes in the bedroom after he's done watching it. I'm like literally half asleep. And he's like, I have to tell you exactly everything that happens in this.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's kind of like it reminded me of like Lords of Dogtown. I don't know if you've seen that. No,
Yeah.
but it was like strictly the 90s. And I was like, I really want to watch this movie now. Oh, y'all, shut the hell up. Speaking of skateboarding, Lords of Dogtown.
Everyone calm down.
Tony Hawk was in my
Yes.
city the other day.
What?
Eli told me that earlier today.
Yes, because I had gotten, and I'm so pissed because the city knew about it. And of course, they wait until after he leaves because he was at our skate park. They wait until after he leaves to like post all these videos and stuff. And I'm like, and it's all these like little kids. I'm like, they don't even know who Tony Hawk is. The hell are you talking about?
Exactly.
And I had sent a picture to Stinky and Richard, and I was like, oh my God, look how cool. And Stinky's like, is he still there? I'm walking now. And I was like, no, he's gone. Of course, they didn't tell us beforehand. I was like, that's cool as shit.
I know, that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize that millennial was cringy until recently.
Apparently, we can't even breathe without being cringy. So I don't know.
Yeah.
See, there's millennial cringe, and then there's things that millennials find cringy as well that are also millennial. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, like Minions in particular, I feel like most millennials find them cringy, but there are those like select group of most other millennials that are like obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Minions are just that one polarizing, but
Minions.
I guess I'm just trying to justify this.
We were in the car today, and the boys we were on the way to Sammy's speech class, and so they put on Hocus Pocus in the car. That's what they wanted to watch. Because, duh. And
obviously.
So Deegan said, he's like, when was this movie made? And I was like, I think like the 90s, like, wasn't it like the early 90s or something? Yeah. And he was like, how did they even make movies back then?
Shut the hell up.
I'm like, he's like, I'm surprised that they could make movies then. I'm like, bro, do you not? I literally said, I was like, Aunt Storm was born in the 90s, bro. And I was like, we were born in the 80s. What? How old do you think we are?
Have you watched those?
And he's like,
have you watched those TikToks where they'll be like, what year do you think someone had to be born for them to be old? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, the fuck? And I'm like, okay, it must be fucking old as hell. And then they're like, well, why do you pick that year or whatever? And then like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a year that you feel old, that you're just old. And I was like, okay. Asshole.
Yeah. Right. I just remember as like a teenager when I was like, ew, 30 is like so old. And now I'm 36 and I'm like, hey. Like,
I know. Like, you just can't imagine being that old and then we're here now. It's like,
but in my head, I'm still like 22. So 50, it doesn't.
Like, oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I should be this old.
No. But then I throw my back out reaching for my towel in the shower, and then it tells me that I'm 36 years old.
You're like, makes sense. I get it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
literally everything hurts.
Well, wasn't it Gravy B that always said you only act as old as you, or you only are as old as you act, or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I act like an idiot.
There's a restart button now. Let me not hit that.
Yeah, please don't hit the restart button.
You scared me when you said that, like you had already hit it.
Yeah, so on next week's episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Storm, if they want to find some more of us, where would they find us?
We are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at Three Swift Podcast. Go on there, like, comment, do all the things. Also, please rate and review because it's super, super helpful for us. YouTube, we're on YouTube. And yeah.
All right. Well, that's what happens when three siblings walk into a bar.